A federal high court in Lagos has sentenced a former Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Executive Director, Captain Ezekiel Bala Agaba, to 7 years imprisonment for laundering more than 1.5 billion naira.
The judge, Ibrahim Buba, also dismissed a 34 billion naira fraud charge filed by the federal government against Global West Vessels Specialist Limited, a company linked to a former Niger Delta militant leader, Government Ekpemokolo, alias Tompolo. Kemi Foladiyemo tells us more about Wednesday's court proceedings.
Justice Ibrahim Buba convicted Bala Agaba of the 7 counts of conversion and criminal breach of trust. The judge held that the EFCC had proved beyond reasonable doubt that the convict stole the sum from NIMASA while he was in charge of maritime safety and shipping.
After the conviction, it was time for both counsel to address the court on the issue of sentencing. And after the back and forth, Justice Ibrahim Buba held on to the fact that the 60-year-old is a first-time offender. However, he was sentenced to 7 years at a correctional facility in line with the provisions of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act.
The judge also fails to grant the request for the convicts to be given a non-custodial sentencing, as he is in the high-risk category for the COVID-19 infection, but advised his counsel to consider approaching the state for pardon. The court also declined the application of the EFCC counsel for the forfeiture of the property allegedly bought from the proceeds of the laundering.
There are different ways for which we can get forfeiture of the asset that he had fraudulently acquired, and then we are going to take those measures that the statute had provided for in line with our establishment act. We are going to take the steps on that.
We do not agree because we believe that we had sufficient ways we discredited those evidences. As I speak today, not one single naira, 1 naira or dollar was found in any account related to the convict, to the defendant. And to convict for money laundering on a law that is not applicable in the southern states.
Captain Agaba remained the only person to be prosecuted at this trial after 4 others, including NIMASA's former managing director, Patrick Akpobolo-Kemi, were later discharged. In another case, Justice Buba dismissed 2 charges brought by the EFCC against former Niger Delta militant leader, Government Tompolo. One of them an alleged 34 billion naira fraud, and the other allegation that he laundered about 13 billion naira in the contract for the construction of the Nigerian Maritime University. The other defendants included Patrick Akpobolo-Kemi. Tompolo was initially joined as the first defendant, but following his refusal to answer repeated court summons, Festus Keyamo, who handled the case for the EFCC, applied for his name to be removed from the charge sheet, charging his company instead. And following the close of the prosecution's case, the defendants filed a no-case submission, which Justice Buba upheld. He ruled that the EFCC had failed to establish a prima facie case and set the defendants free.
From the judgment, the ruling of court today, the court made it very clear that the witnesses somersaulted on the evidence in the witness box. They reversed themselves, and most importantly, there was no evidence supporting either of the charges.
Tompolo's counsel also says they will now start the process of retrieving his properties seized by the EFCC. Kemi Foladiyemo, TVC News, Lagos.